Good morning, doctor. My name is Ang Wei Ping and my entry number is 287528. Today, I want to share my assignment title, which is Impact of FDI on Economic Growth in Malaysia. Now, I will present my chapter 1, which is Introduction. And for this part, I want to share what is FDI. Actually, FDI is an investment from one country into a business in another country to establish a lasting interest. And FDI can create the job opportunity, enhance infrastructure, bring new technology and expertise, and focus innovation and productivity. And here I separate the time series into three parts of pre-pandemic, during pandemic, and after pandemic. So based on this, we can see the pre-pandemic FDI inflow is RM 32.1 billion and dropped at the time during the pandemic, but increased at RM 48.1 billion after pandemic. And now I want to share the motivation of study. In this study, we want to understand how FDI affect economic growth in Malaysia, analyzing the relationship between FDI and economic growth. And this study want to know how to attract more FDI to enhance the economic performance and achieve a sustainable growth. This graph shows that the red line is economic growth and blue line is FDI. Here I will highlight the three special time frame, which is the economic drop to negative. First, in 1998, because having a Russian financial crisis, so the economy is dropped to the negative. And second is 2009, because of the Great Recession and the economy also dropped to the negative. And 2020, because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So these three special situations make the economic growth become negative. And for FDI scenario in Malaysia at 2023, actually Malaysia achieved the highest ever approved investment totaling RM 329.5 billion. And we can see the manufacturing, electrical and electronic, real estate, technology and e-commerce sector can attract more FDI. So for the problem statement part, actually FDI in Malaysia face the economic challenge such as financial crisis, Great Recession and COVID-19 pandemic. And second is how FDI can effectively promote sustainable economic growth. And third is how about the relationship between the FDI and economic growth. And last is how policymakers create the strategy to maximize the benefit of FDI. So this is my research question and research objective. First, my research question first is what factor affect economic growth in Malaysia? Second is what is the relationship between the trend and economic growth? And third is what is the effect of FDI and other variable on economic growth in Malaysia? So my research objective, my main objective is to analyze the impact of FDI on economic growth in Malaysia. And my specific objective is first is to identify the factor affecting the economic growth in Malaysia, to examine the relationship between the trend and economic growth, and last is to analyze the FDI and other variable on economic growth in Malaysia. For the significance of study, in this study examine the influence of FDI on Malaysia economic growth. And this study will examine several variables influence economic growth, including FDI, gross national expenditure, Malaysia education spending, oil rent, and unemployment. So for scope of study in this study, we will analyze for 30 years, which is from 1993 to 2022 in Malaysia. Now I will present the chapter 2, literature review. So for this part, I will compare between this study and previous research allowed for a deeper understanding of the impact of FDI on economic growth in Malaysia. And this helped to identify the gap in the existing literature and provide a basis for building upon previous findings. And this part will have theoretical review, empirical review, and methodological review. For the theoretical review, have three theories. First is neoclassical growth theory, endogenous growth theory, and internalization theory. And for the empirical review, will show the relationship between the dependent variable and independent variable, just as FDI, government expenditure, education have positive relationship with the economic growth. And according to the study, show that the oil rent can have positive and negative relationship with economic growth, and unemployment have a negative relationship with the economic growth. And for the third part is methodology review. The previous study, most of the study used the ARDR model, BECN, and gradual causality model. And for this study, the gap of study is methodological gap, because in this study, we will use the ordinary least square OLS regression method, because OLS can bring more transparent and straightforward analysis. And now I will present chapter 3, methodology. So for this part, research framework, first data collection, we will collect the data from the World Bank, Macro Trend, and Department of Statistics Malaysia, which governs. And the analysis method is OLS regression method. And we will analyze the data by using the eView. And for this study, my dependent variable is economic growth, and my independent variable is foreign direct investment, FDI, gross national expenditure, Malaysia education spending, oil rent, and unemployment. And for this part is theoretical framework. Actually, this is the definition for the independent variable. First is FDI inflow. This investment from foreign entity in Malaysia include capital, technology, and expertise. And second is gross national expenditure. This is the sum of household final consumption expenditure, general government final consumption expenditure, and gross capital formation. And third is Malaysia education spending. This is enhancing the human capital development, fostering social equity, promoting technological advance, and ensuring the economic resilience. And next is oil rent. Oil rent is different between the value of crude oil production at regional price and the total production cost. And last is unemployment. Unemployment is a worker are considered unemployed if they are current do not work, even though they are able to and willing to do so. And for the conceptual framework, show some history data for the independent variable. And for this part, research design will separate at three parts: descriptive analysis, correlation coefficient analysis, and OLS analysis. So for the descriptive analysis, actually is describing and summarizing the raw data and make it interpretable. And analysis of history data is identify the pattern, trend, and insight. And next is correlation coefficient analysis. So this measure the strength and direction of the linear relationship between two continuous variables. And correlation coefficient, which is ranged from -1 to 1. And for OLS analysis, you can see this is the equation for the OLS analysis, and the beta 0 is intercept term, and beta 1, 2, 3, and beta 4 is a scope coefficient, and with the error term. And continue with the research design has multicollinearity, heteroscedasticity, and autocorrelation. So for the multicollinearity, actually we focus on the value for the BIF. If the BIF is less than the 10, it means that no serious multicollinearity problem. And the heteroscedasticity, we will have two hypotheses. First is no hypothesis is p-value is greater than 0.05, so we can accept the no hypothesis. And alternative hypothesis is p-value is smaller than the 0.05, so we need to reject the no hypothesis. So for this hetero, we want to accept the no hypothesis. And third is autocorrelation. And for the autocorrelation, we will focus in the Derby-Watson statistic, and we want our result get 2, because if our Derby statistic have get the amount get a 2, so means that we can accept the no hypothesis and no correlation problem. And now I will present the chapter 4 is finding and data analysis. And here is the short form for the independence variable and dependence variable is EGW, FDIR, GNAXPR, MESR, ORR, UNER. For the descriptive analysis, show the table, we can see the number of the mean and median almost close. This means that the data distribution is approximate, symmetrical, and not heavily scaled. The standard deviation is used to measure that is used to quantify the amount of variation or distribution of a set of data value. And the scaleness show a statistical measure at descriptive the asymmetry of a distribution. When a distribution is symmetrical, its left and right side are mirror image. The skewness is 0. In this study, gross national expenditure, oil rent, and unemployment are positive skewness, and foreign direct investment and Malaysia education spending are negative skewness. And for the correlation coefficient analysis, we can see this table, and you can see each column has two data at up and down. Up is R square value and down is probability. So first, we can see the EGW is economic growth, have strong positive correlation with the FDIR, and moderate positive correlation with a GNEXPR, MESR, ORR, and have a moderated negative correlation with the UNER. And the second is FDI. FDIR has a moderate positive correlation with the UNEXPR and weak correlation with the MESR, ORR, and UNER. And the third is UNEXPR, which is gross national expenditure, has strong negative correlation is ORR and correlation with MESR and UNER. And the next is Malaysia education spending is have a moderate negative correlation is with ORR UNER. And ORR has a moderate negative correlation with a UNER. And this is the ORS table, and the coefficient show the relationship between the independent variable and dependent variable. The first FDI show that if FDI increase 1% and economic growth will increase in 1.12%, same with the gross national expenditure, Malaysia education spending, and oil rent, because they have a positive coefficient. And for unemployment, because have a negative coefficient, means that negative relationship. And if unemployment increase 1%, economic growth will decrease 1.21%. And the coefficient will replace in the equation, which is in the place beta 0, 1, beta 2, beta 3, and beta 4 and 5, like the second equation. And the probability show the independent variable is significant with the dependent variable or not. We can see the last column. We can see that almost all the independent variable are significant because they less than 0.05, except the unemployment, meaning that the unemployment has not direct influence the economic growth, and other significant variable have direct influence the economic growth. And the R square is 0.709, means about 70.9% of variance can be predicted from independent variable in this research. For this multi-collinearity, this table shows that the central VIF are below 10, means no serious multi-collinearity problem. And this is the heteroscedasticity, and this table shows that the probability is higher than 0.05, meaning that we can accept the no hypothesis and no hetero problem in this research. And for the autocorrelation, we see the value for the Durbin-Watson statistic shown in this study is 1.95, meaning that this value actually is almost close to 2, meaning that we can accept the no hypothesis because no significant autocorrelation problem. And now I will present the chapter 5 is conclusion. So for conclusion, this part, first objective is identify the factor affecting economic growth in Malaysia. So FDI, Malaysia education spending, and oil rent have a significant positive relationship with economic growth. And unemployment does not show a significant relationship with economic growth. And second objective is examine the relationship between the trend and economic growth. FDI, gross national expenditure, Malaysia education spending, and oil rent have positive coefficient with economic growth. And unemployment have negative coefficient with economic growth. And third objective is analyze the effect of FDI and other variable on economic growth in Malaysia, and we can see the R square value. R square value is 0.709. This means that almost 70% of the variation in economic growth is explained by the model. In that, independent variable have 70% can predict the economic growth. And for this part, recommendation, first is the government can encourage the foreign direct investment FDI by ensuring that a stable political and economic environment to attract FDI. Government can provide an attractive incentive such as subsidy and tax break and government can invest in infrastructure to make the transportation process become more smooth and improve the business environment. And second is the government can increase the government expenditure. And this can increase the government expenditure can help to increase the gross national expenditure. So government can invest in the healthy care, education, and technology sector because a sufficient infrastructure environment can help the business move smoothly and generate a high economic return. And the government gives the teacher training to increase the quality of education and provide more technology skill because now in the digital world, so the student need to have a technology knowledge. And third is the government can optimize oil rent by developing a transparent and efficient system for managing their revenue. This includes establish foreign wealth fund to invest in long-term economic projects. And additionally, oil rents should be used to diversify the economy, reducing the dependence on oil and promoting sustainable industries such as renewable energy, technology, and tourism. So for this study, the limitation is the omission of a unit root test because we don't use the unit root test in this study. But actually, unit root test is a crucial method for assess the stationarity of time series data in economy analysis. And unit root test actually can help us to identify the data is stationary or non-stationary. But the unit root test we will use in the future study because the unit root test can increase the reliability of the finding. And unit root test also can analysis to strengthen the validity and accuracy of our research outcome. And this is all my presentation, and thank you.